007 Quantum of Solace is a cover-based third-person shooter which is so shoddily made. Its design is stapled together slop, which vaguely follows the plot of its relevant films, but mostly exists to endlessly frustrate the player with falsely promised features. Like, sure, this is technically a third-person shooter, but it feels more like a string of hyper-long, painfully patronizing QTEs. The very first mission interrupts you with tutorial prompts every few seconds. That's not an exaggeration. The game is constantly wresting control away from you to tell you the most obvious inane drivel, like, oh, some enemies will have grenades sometimes? You don't say. Oh, I need to shoot the obvious glowing padlock off this door in an otherwise dead-end area? Wowee, thanks for letting me know. Oh, I can flank enemies using my environment? Gosh. These prompts are so pervasive that by the time I got to any actual shooting, I was too frustrated to take cover, so I ran up to everyone and used melee instead. Surprisingly, this worked just fine. I managed to clear the whole first level this way, but even when you do escape the tutorial's crushing confines, the rest of the game is just as suffocating. Every enemy encounter seems to take place in a small, boxed-in area with minimal cover and very clear points of approach. You rarely have to think tactically about your positioning or anything like that, and the enemy AI is criminally moronic. There's nothing emergent, natural, or intellectually stimulating about the gameplay. It feels like twiddling my thumbs while someone reads me a partially accurate synopsis for the films. The miserable mundanity all comes to a head during the first boss battle. You see, your opponent is too fast for you to just shoot, so you have to knock down these obvious hazards to block his path. Except, I tried doing that and it wouldn't let me. Wanna guess why? It was because I wasn't standing in the exact right spot. But if you do stand in the exact right spot, shooting said hazards triggers a cutscene which damages your foe. Then he proceeds to shuffle directly under the next hazard and wait for you to trigger another cutscene. How absolutely dreadful. There's no room for conscious input or critical thought. Quantum of Solace whips out the leash and cattle prod early, jerking and jabbing you until you're corralled into cruel, performative mediocrity. Off the back of that insulting boss battle, you're then dropped into a forced, linear, trial-and-error stealth level. There are only one or two stiffly mechanical solutions available at every turn. The AI is scripted to act out comically rigid routines, and I could not play anymore. This is one of the most insultingly anti-thought licensed games on the PS2. There's nothing to analyze and nothing to feel, except perhaps ennui and exasperation. Bond games have a reputation for quality, so it's simply stunning to see something this insultingly shallow from the license. But hey, maybe it gets better later.